All right, let's see here. Hey, everybody, it's Tracy, and I am going to be starting a new program here where I'll be going live every week. And so this is my first live, and I know it'll take a little bit of time to go ahead and get it out there and promote it, but today is the first one. And yes, I wanted to make myself really available to everybody, especially right now with everything going on in the world. We can, we can assume that we don't have any control of what's going on in our lives. And we can assume maybe we don't have control over our food. And so today we're talking about that. We're going to talk about, um, you know, building strength in ourselves and how we look at food. And let's see here. I'm going to play around here a little bit to see if I can see who might be here, but I don't know how to do that yet. So anyway, I'm going to do my best. Not perfect at this at all. And anyway, so if you're here, I think you can write a comment or say hello. Let me know you're here. And also know that I will do my best to answer any questions for you. So go ahead and put in the chat box, say, hey, I'm here. Um, Go ahead and shoot me a question that has to do with today's topic. And again, we're talking about being victims in association with our relationship with food, or how we are not able to um, take control of our relationship with food. So I'm going to give a few more minutes so that the Facebook algorithm can get out there and let people know we're here, and we'll get right into it. So yes, um, so again, one thing about me is I am a recovered yo-yo dieter, a recovered body loather, and a recovered pre-diabetic. So I lost my way with food um, in a big way back in 2005. And it stemmed from like a lot of my relationships with food from when I was younger, right? So when I was younger, people didn't know much about how food affected us and how our relationships with food could, cause issues with our other relationships and especially with relationships with ourselves, right? So, again, I see some people popping on, but if you can, shoot a comment. Let me know you're here. I would love to know who's here. And then also feel free again to shoot any questions that you would like. So, to ask me. All right, so victim or not. So, are you um, playing victim in your relationship with food, which is allowing you to have an excuse for not empowering yourself around your relationship with food? And what I mean by that is if we stay victims around our food, that means that we can use that as an excuse, right? To maybe not become healthy like we want to become. Um, we can use it as an excuse to, as me, mine was run to candies, and I didn't even think about it. I'd be driving along, and if I saw the grocery store, I hey there, Dave. I would blindly, without thought, drive into the drugstore and pick up that box of Runt candy, and I would eat the whole thing without thinking about it. And I'd become total victim to that mindset. I could not pass by that store without going in there and buying this candy, which I knew was going to be, at least I didn't really know it then. I didn't realize how bad it was for me. I had no connection to what I ate, or when I ate that candy, how horrible I felt afterwards, and the insulin spike that would happen to me. And so, as I went on my journey of becoming aware and getting rid of this victim uh, mindset associated with a food item, and at the time I didn't realize that's what I was doing. um, One day I said, I've got to quit going in there. And again, that was the idea that, I was pre-diabetic. I can't eat stuff like that anymore. I cannot do it. And I shouldn't have done it to begin with, right? It was very harmful. but I would allow that mentality that I had no choice. I had no ability to stop myself. So once I realized that maybe I could just start small, right? Can I start small? And maybe my biggest goal was anytime I would see that store that I knew I had that candy in there, I would feel more empowered and say, hey, I have the power to make a decision right now to go in there or not. And it was so hard. But instead of being the victim of that choice, I said, okay, I am going to strengthen my ability to not drive in there, buy that box of runts, and make myself horribly sick. So it started like that, one little decision. And I would be so happy and I would reward myself because I didn't go in and buy the candy, right? And then I realized in this connection with my body, what I realized was I was not harming me. I wasn't harming my body by not, because I didn't go in there. So I had this game going. How many times can I go in there without, and just be in there for what it was I needed? And sometimes I go pick up my mom's prescriptions for her. And darn it, if that candy aisle isn't right on the way. And again, it used to victimize me. I'd go in there and I'd be a victim of the aisle. I wouldn't be able to get through the aisle without thinking about buying the candy. So over time, though, I worked on it and I worked on it. I worked on it just a little step at a time, overcoming this mindless process of going and just buying the candy. One day I realized I'd gotten through the aisle all the way to the back of the store to pick up the prescription, and I didn't even think about the candy at the time. I made it, and it was like this huge, oh my gosh, I am not a victim to this candy anymore. And so now it's funny. I can drive by the drugstore. I can go in and out of there fine. It's not that sometimes I don't go in that aisle, and that one part of my mind says, oh, let's get it. And I'm like, no, we're not going to be a victim to this candy anymore. So anyway, what you can put this in the chat box, or I would, if you're going to be shy, go, no problem. What food item do you feel most victimized about? What food item do you have such a relationship with that it drives you, and it basically is very difficult for you to move on from that food? Um, so I want you to think about that. And again, I would love participation in the chat box, but if you're shy, go ahead, just write it on a piece of paper. All right, so you have that food item. Why do you believe that the relationship is the way it is? What is that food item for? And how is it serving you? And I think one of the biggest things you can do is realize why a food is serving you. Is it serving you to nourish you? Are you really hungry? Or is it serving you to help you with something that's emotionally frustrating you at the time? So one thing, I have a book coming out. It's called Your Personal Journey with Food. It's going to be published on October 6th. It'll be available on Amazon at that time. But one thing my co-author and I talk about is this relationship with food. And, we have relationships with food. That's just the way it is. We have celebration around food. We have family gatherings around food. We have relationships with food that are comforting, something we might remember as a child that makes us feel good. And even though that food may be something that your body shouldn't have, there's still this emotional relationship with it, right? And we can become victim to that relationship. So I'll give another example: Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. So for me, I remember the family stuffing. And you better not mess with that stuffing recipe, because if anyone's going to have Christmas or Thanksgiving and they want to try a new stuffing, they better make the family stuffing as well, because we have to have it. Well, over the years, I realized I've always felt sick eating that stuffing, even though it tasted good. And over the years, I've learned about my body that the ingredients that are in that amazing stuffing are harmful to me. But I couldn't stop myself from eating it because of the relationship of what it meant. It meant the family together. It meant fun times. It meant, you know, just wonderful memories. So, how could I ever part with this amazing food item, right? So over time, though, I realized, and Ingrid and I write about this in the book, we say, if we can go ahead and embrace the memory for what it was, and it's really for being together with our family, it's really for being celebrating with food with friends, it's about gathering and all of those things. And so to help you step away from that victimhood of a food item, really understand what the connection is of that food item. Okay. So, oh, Ruth. Ruth says she has a box of stovetop in her cupboard. That's awesome. Anyway, but yeah, so stuffing is a big deal, right? Anyway, it's a great comfort food, but so again, write down whatever, it can be a specific item that you might be using to bring comfort. Then there might be also the situation that you're sad. And as we know, you know, you see someone who's sad, and usually they're running to the store to get the ice cream, and they're going to eat the whole thing of ice cream or the whole thing of cookies, and then afterwards they just feel so horrible because they just ate all of this stuff, and then you feel bad about yourself. You're like, why did I do that? Now I just ate a whole thing of ice cream, and it was because you were in this mode of emotion, right? And wanting something comforting. And so the brain is saying, hey, we used to always, ice cream always meant reward or fun, or cookies always meant fun and reward, right? So the brain's just going to that. And that's just a natural thing. So, oh, I see more folks coming on. Again, announce if you want, say hi. We're on for another, 15 minutes. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to post it in the comment section. So, again, we're talking about, using the victim mentality that we can't control what we eat because we are victims of a food item. And but I want you to know that you honestly have the power to, if you choose, change that relationship with that food item. And usually that comes from, one area it was for me as well, was you know honestly looking at myself again, and why was I eating? Was I eating for comfort? Was I eating because I was really hungry? And then another great thing you can always do is, when you look at what you're eating, imagine that food, as you chew it, is going to go into your stomach, go into your digestive tract, eventually be absorbed into your body. And you want that food item to become part of you, become part of your blood, become part, of your skin or whatever tissue it turns into. So, when we can get our mind to realize why we should be eating, um, one is to nourish our bodies, it's to nourish ourselves. That's why we really are supposed to be eating. But again, we have community around food. So, how do we do that together when we have community and friends and family and celebration all around these food items? How do we become so mindful that we have the ability to have those thoughts, you know, as we're eating? Um, One other aspect was that I wanted to talk about, is our beliefs about ourselves. So, our beliefs about ourselves and the way you think about who you are relates to your food. It's all connected. And that's what's so great, because it is all connected. What you eat makes you feel a certain way. It makes your cells, respond a certain way. It creates chemical reactions in your system and in your mind It will make you feel a certain way. And so, a lot of times, why we become victim to some of these food items like the chocolate and the ice cream, and sometimes we overindulge. Like for me, it was bread and popcorn and, all that great stuff. Is we get that instant gratification and our mind is happy, like, and it wants that really quick happiness. It hasn't learned yet, and that's one thing you can think about. It hasn't learned yet the reward for not eating that item. It doesn't get that part. And so when it thinks that it's being deprived, when you say, I'm not going to eat this whole thing of ice cream when I'm sad, it's thinking life's over, And so um, one thing I work with my clients, we really work on the belief system around that food item and the brain realizing there's actually reward and there's actually um, a moment of when it understands that it has made a choice that serves not only the body but itself, and it actually feels really great. Can it start releasing this attachment to a food item? Again, for me, it was those darn runts, and it was so obsessed. And I was so addicted that I felt that I was deprived if I didn't let myself have them. So over time, my brain realizes how much energy I have, how much better I feel, how much less anxiety I have, all of those things. Right, the popcorn. Yeah, popcorn, late night popcorn. That's a tough one because that can be a habit. It's pleasure. It's based around a movie. So we have all these things, right? But when your brain can understand and you can disconnect the emotional aspect of the food and say, hey, listen, brain, I'm going to feel so much better. We're going to feel better if we choose not to eat this item that we know gives us these feelings of anxiety, makes us feel bloated, makes us feel bad about ourselves after we eat it. You know, so my biggest tip for tonight is pick one item, and it's not a deprivation thought process, okay? It's a learning process. So you're going to go into this and you're going to be like, I am going to learn about my brain, the way I think about this food item. I'm going to learn why I eat this item, okay? And be willing to go into that and be a super sleuth about it. And say, okay, brain, we're not going to be victims to this food item anymore. Okay, it's going to take some muscle and strength and learning, but I promise you, once that brain kicks in and it realizes the benefit for you and it when it's not victim to that food item anymore. Life changes. It really does. So as a health coach, I'm not perfect. Okay. I don't, again, like I said, I was a yo yo dieter for a long time, most of my life. I think my first diet was my senior year in high school. So it was 1985. And it was a whirlwind, up and down from then. When I get upset, I would go get donuts. I would eat donuts to get me through rough times. And then I would feel bad about myself. And then I would, go find something else to eat to try and feel better. And I really used food to handle so many of my emotions, right? And then, gosh, when I became pre-diabetic, that was, I was very stressed with work. I wasn't sleeping. Um, Too much chocolate and wine pairing at the time. How could I ever give that up, right? And so, as a health coach, I want you to know that it's not about being perfect either. So, you can release that aspect of being perfect because nobody is. I love popcorn. I finally figured out how to have it without getting a horrible popcorn coma. I like a good piece of cheesecake. I know now that I can't eat it a lot, but I still love it. And I still love certain foods, right? But the key is knowing how those foods make you feel, knowing how they make the chemicals in your brain react, and being able to discern that and take that emotion out, that victim emotion out, that you can't do anything unless you have this food item. Okay. So, for today, that is really what I was hoping to get across. You know, pick your food item, figure out why you have such a bond with it, and then see if you can. It's like me for the runts. Really, my body was wanting berries and the food that goes, when I have my sugar cravings, I'm really wanting, my body really needs an apple or it needs berries and something, but we immediately go to sugar. See if you can discern those things, okay? And uh, why are you eating? Are you feeling a victim at the moment to eating? Are you really hungry? Those kinds of things will help you start to analyze your behaviors. So, with that, it's 7:20. I've said all I want to say, and yeah, so I'll start being here every Tuesday at 7 with a topic, and I think I'm figuring this out now. I'll actually be able to schedule the live video through a live video thing. I didn't know how to do that before, so I'm figuring that out now. Feel free to reach out. Private message me if you have any questions. And then also, again, look for the book launch October 6th. Your Personal Journey with Food will be on Amazon. And in that book, there's lots of exercises for you to do. I really want people, oh, I should have had a copy of it here, to write in it and really get involved with the thought process of so you can stop being a confused and frustrated dieter. All right. So have a great night, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Got to figure out how to turn this off. There we are. Take care.